And we're back on Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Bren Masson. We're speaking with David Barthau. Now, if you have any questions for David, how do people get a hold of us, Jay?
Yes, we're on Facebook. You can join our Facebook group there, Fresh Waves on Whistle FM. We're also on Twitter at Fresh Waves Radio.
Okie dokie. And you can always call us at the station, too, if you want.
Yeah, 905-640-1027.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So, David, there are things that you can buy for a person and things that you shouldn't. I think it's almost like buying a piece of art. You have to know the person really well before you buy them something super expensive that you expect them to wear for the rest of their lives. Right?
That's true, and hopefully you're not buying it for a stranger. You're buying it for somebody that you spend some time with.
Right.
And possibly it's come up in conversation, or you take a look at different styles. There's all kinds of styles out there. And you also have to fit the style to the person's lifestyle.
Yeah, that would be an important thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because if somebody's working in a special environment, they may not be able to wear a ring. Or they might have to, wear it when they're not at work. Mm-hmm. Because we don't wear, certain clothes when we go to work. We wear our work clothes. And some people, they want to wear something, put it on, and forget about it. Jewelry has to be looked after and cared for. It is a piece of jewelry. It's not indestructible. People put items on and they want to wear it for 40 or 50 years.
Right.
But, you should have it inspected on a regular basis.
Is it possible to buy something and then exchange it because the person just really doesn't like it?
Well, of course. Unless you get something custom made or altered, then it's, you can't change. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. But if somebody comes in, and in most places, you would look to see what their exchange policy is, if they've got an exchange policy or if they've just got a refund policy. So it can be done both ways. But again, you got to realize it should be unused. And, if somebody looks at it, okay, it's not my style, I'll take it back and get it exchanged or get something done to it. And it can be a simple alterations, as we were talking in the break. Something may be sitting up too high, and they just need it set down lower.
Right.
Could be a simple solution as that. Or it could be the ring's not fitting properly, and it just needs to be sized.
All right. Can you size up? Obviously, you can size down, take a chunk out, put it back together. Sizing up seems to me like it would be a little bit more.
It's a little bit more involved. You just, depending upon the material, if it's gold, you just put a piece of gold in there and you solder it back together again and refinish it, and it looks brand new again.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, very rarely. Eternity bands, a little bit harder. That's the ones that have
that wrap all the way around.
The gemstones all the way around. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never understood the practicality of that. I just use my hands in too much goop to ever have something go.
It's the style and the look.
Right.
So.
Now, what's trendy these days? I know that things come in and things go out. At one point, everybody wanted a Pandora this or a Pandora that. Everyone wants a Tiffany this or a Tiffany that. If it doesn't have the blue and silver box under the tree, I don't want it. But now I see that in outlet malls, there's Pandora, or
are you talking just in general?
In general.
And well, there's styles are always coming and going, and
specific styles, but and the companies too, I suppose.
Yeah, yes. We try and keep on top of
whatever's trendy.
Yeah, what's out there, because I look at it. We're a location where if somebody has a need, we want to be able to fill that need, and that's what we try and do.
Right.
We try and inject our input where it's needed and when it's needed. We would advise this over that for a specific reason.
Right.
And that's why when you go in, you go shopping, there should be a lot of questions that are being asked. It's not that we're trying to find out information that we shouldn't know. We're trying to find out information that will satisfy you. What's the purpose of the item that you're coming in for? What's the use of it's going to be? Is it going to be worn all the time? Is it for a special occasion? And we try and narrow it down so that we're taking every item that there is in the store, we're asking you questions, and we're narrowing it down so that we know what to show you. So when
it's important.
Yeah, so if you come into a store and we ask you 10 questions, well, I just want to look. Well, we're here to help you, and we want to find out, what is it for? Is it for an anniversary? Is it for a special occasion that you're going to? Is it to mark an occasion? And we'll look and we'll understand you want earrings or pendants or necklace, and then we'll narrow it down and we'll direct you into that area so that it makes your time more efficient and you're more satisfied. I know it's disappointing when somebody shows you, okay, this is the item that you want, and you're kind of like, well, I want to look around and see what variety there is. But sometimes it's the easiest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it is. And sometimes it's fun to look at a jewelry store. It's almost, for me, like going to a museum.
Oh, we encourage.
Rocks.
We encourage people,
Yeah.
We get people coming in all the time and says, I'm just looking. I said, well, I always look before I buy too.
Yeah.
So we want to go out there and help the customer, making a good experience. But as far as styles go, a lot of styles that we've seen today with engagement rings are going into narrower bands. Some of them, they want them really narrow, and I'm kind of advising against it because there's not the strength there. You want it a little bit wider, a little bit thicker so that
well, I think that's
durable.
maybe something we should talk about, because one of my listeners did phone in and say they're very confused as to what is 24, 14, 10 karat gold. What does that mean? Okay,
what that is, it started years and years ago. 24 karat gold is pure gold.
That's the purest you can get?
Yeah. It's soft, it's pliable, and what we do is we add alloys to it, and it's actually a percentage. And now most things are on metric, so we'll use both systems. So 24 karat gold would be the 9999. Okay. You can't have pure 100% or 1,000. It's always 999.
Okay.
18 karat would be 750. So 750 parts are gold, and the other 25 parts are
something else.
Are alloys to give it strength or to change the color. 14 karat would be 585, and 10 karat is 417.
So strength-wise, if you were buying something for someone who's 19, wants his first gold chain, but he's a rough and tumble hockey player, does a lot of sports, does a lot of activities, you're not going to go with 24 karat because it's not.
No, you don't usually. Some ethnic groups will go with 22 karat. It's a really yellowy color. Mm-hmm. Usually for price, it'll be 10 karat, so you can get more chain for a 10 karat price than you would for a 14 karat price.
And but again, you get more strength with the 10 karat?
10 karat are usually harder because of the alloys that are mixed in with it. However, you're going to be more susceptible to tarnishing because there's less gold in it.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so there's a trade-off there.
Right.
And normally what we do is 14 karat would be for engagement rings, but we sometimes do it in 18 karat.
And you wouldn't use 24 because that's a ring that's being worn all the time, right?
It'll be too soft.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what you can also do is, it's called work hardening, is you work the metal to strengthen or make it harder, less likely to wear.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I've seen people take off their rings, their wedding rings or whatever, they're going to do something where they don't want their rings on, and they're almost square at the back. They've been worn and squeezed and pressed in.
Yeah, that's the beauty of gold. It's very pliable, and it can be reused. And all the gold, I mean, we've been in the recycling business for years. We can recycle gold and alloy it down to its pure form and then remix it again. So
okay. That sounds like a really cool thing to do. Now, you did that with something that used to be your dad's, didn't you? You melted down some gold and made it into something else.
Yeah, we remake things all the time.
All the
time. Yeah, we'll have people that'll have rings. They want to keep the gold in their original ring, made in a new ring. We only use the yellow gold. I won't use white gold. And the ring will have to white gold with the different alloys. Like, remember I said when gold comes out of the ground, it's yellow. So we have to mix other alloys with it. And years ago, they used to use nickel. Today, we don't use the nickel.
Lots of people are allergic to nickel or react.
Exactly. Right. And that's why they've stopped using the nickel. But nickel would keep things white.
That's true.
Yeah. So, again, everything's a trade-off.
Right. So now does white gold tarnish?
Well, yellow gold tarnishes, white gold tarnishes. Everything tarnishes. Yeah. Yeah,
but then you just stick it in that little solution thing, and all
we'll
of a sudden,
clean it.
lickety-splickety, it's nice and shiny.
Yeah, there's different ways that we can clean it. And to get the white looking really white, we rhodium plate it, which is one of the platinum group metals. But it will wear off over time. Can you get platinum rings? Yep. What platinum, palladium. They're more of a steely gray color after they've been worn for a while.
Okay.
Just, again, different properties.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And a
lots of
different look.
varieties. Slightly different look, yeah.
Because when you think of platinum, you think of a brush finish almost, not the shiny.
No,
It can
it's-
be shiny?
Yeah, no, they start off shiny.
Okay.
It's just they scratch and they mark easier because
Okay.
it's more pliable.
I thought platinum was really strong.
It's durable.
Okay.
Okay. Again, there's a trade-off there. And people get it confused with durability. It's more pliable, platinum.
Huh.
Okay, harder to polish, harder to work with. Takes a lot more heat.
So that's why gold is kind of still the staple. Most people
Uh,
have their
most
best
peop-
jewelry as gold.
Most people realize, gold is what most people accept as a jewelry. But platinum, does have its good qualities too. Very durable.
Yeah, platinum looks like nothing when it comes out of the ground. It
Yeah,
really looks
yeah.
like driveway stone.
Yeah.
It's definitely a different thing. All right, we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with David Barthau. Stay tuned.
Hey, did you see that post online about Julie?
I totally wrote it. Wasn't it hilarious?
Is all of that true?
Who cares? She's dumb anyways.
Are you talking about that post about Julie?
Yeah, funny, right?
No, but that post about you was.
What post?
Oh, you didn't hear? You're fat, you're ugly, you're stupid, and oh yeah, you smell too. The whole school saw it, no big deal.
That's so mean. Did they really write that about me?
No, but how does it feel?
Sometimes you can feel all alone when being bullied. That's when you can really use a friend. If you see someone you know being bullied online, let them know they're not alone. Stand up now, support a friend, save a life. For more information on cyberbullying, visit stopthemean.wordpress.com or call our hotline at 1-800-555-STOP.
Hey everyone, this is Lil J. Join me every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern for the Block Party, a 2-hour journey of the best in the Canadian underground dance music scene, featuring tracks and DJ mixes from Canada's emerging artists, from the disco hits of the 70s to the latest dance floor fillers. No lineups or cover charges, it's your weekly free access to the beats that are packing dance floors in Canada and around the world. The Block Party, Saturday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, right here on 102.9 Whistle FM and online at whistleradio.ca.
And we're back live in the studios of Whistle FM in the heart of downtown Stouffville. This is Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Bren Masson, and we're speaking with David Barthau of Barthau Jewelers. Now, David, this year, for the Fresh Waves Valentine's series, we're doing 4 different episodes that are all going to be sort of with the theme of Valentine's Day running through them. And we've decided this year to do self-love as opposed to buying something for someone else. You're your best friend. You gotta love you first before you can love the rest of the world. So, on that note, when you told me the story about your grandfather and you getting some money from your grandfather, can you tell the listeners about that? What you did with the money instead of putting an addition on your house?
Okay, yeah. My grandfather, has everybody's grandfather, means a lot to them. And he would come up and visit me up here in the store when I first opened up. And he would just happen to come up, or if we needed something picked up, we would ask him to pick it up on his way up. And he loved to do that. He wouldn't come up in the wintertime because snow would pile in front of his garage door, and he lived in the old part of Toronto. And there was probably 1.5 inches on either side of his car to back out of the driveways between the two houses. So we wouldn't see him in the wintertime. And when he passed, I was fortunate enough to be left a little bit of inheritance. And I wanted to have something to remember him by. So I went out and I bought the largest diamond that I could with the amount of money that he had left. And I still wear that ring today, or that diamond today. I've reset it into 2 different settings as they've changed over time with my styles. And I bought something for my wife also. So, that's what I did. If I had to put it into a trip or a car or the house, it would have been gone. But I still have that. And when people comment about the ring, it just always reminds me of him. So he was always something special. And we do repurpose jewelry all the time.
That's such a nice story, and it's something that people often don't think about. But then you have him with you all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And in something like a diamond that represents forever, which is why it's used as a wedding ring.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's a nice thing to do for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what we're going to talk about this Valentine's Day is buying something for yourself. And I know that a lot of guys want to do the down on one knee traditional will you marry me shtick. See, I paused before I said something totally negative. But as corny as that is, a lot of people really like that kind of thing. But it's also nice to be involved in choosing that. You get couples that come in together, don't you? And
we get them going both ways. And what I mean by that is people will come in and they'll pick out an engagement ring and make it a total surprise. We see this happen all the time.
Do you ask them all those questions? What is she like? And if she's a baker, your chances are you're not going to give her something that's going to get dough in it.
Well, today some of the things are so much easier with Pinterest. People are looking at different styles. They'll talk to their girlfriends or somebody else to try and get some advice. And usually if a guy's coming in, picking something out, he's getting advice from somebody else. Does she like this? Does she like that? So it's not totally blind purchase.
Right.
Okay. Sometimes both of them are coming in. She'll kind of narrow it down to what her styles are, and then it's up to him to decide, the size and what he likes. Most of the time, the guy will say, what do you like? He wants her to wear it. He wants her to be proud of it.
Right.
And that's the whole reason. And again, tradition, getting down on the one knee. And when people come in, we don't only sell them the ring. We try and advise them, when you go and present this, do something personal. Put some time, thought, and effort into it. Mm-hmm. Because if you do it right, she'll embellish it about how you did it and everything that went into it.
Don't put it in food.
Yeah, and if you do it wrong, you'll be living with that forever.
The rest of your life.
So we try and advise people about, how to make this such a momentous occasion, because it is a big step in somebody's life.
It is.
Yeah.
And now if you're going in to buy something for yourself, what are some of the considerations when you've got the person who's going to be wearing this item, and maybe they've brought in something that has sentimental value and they want to make it into something else. Do you still go through the same process of what is it going to be used for?
Well, we try to, and if it's something that they brought something in, they want it repurposed or whatever, we'll, with the internet, we'll say, we'll take a look at different styles that are out there. We have different pictures of what we've done, and we'll go through some of that, and,
Well, there's going to be restrictions, isn't there? Because if you're
limited
with a gemstone.
We are limited to what they're supplying us with. And sometimes people will bring in 4 or 5 rings and say, I want this made into one ring, but I don't want it to look garish. And we're saying, well, you've got 20 or 30 stones there. It's going to look big, But we try and limit. Do they like something angular? Do they like something with a lot of curves on it? Do they want something different, unusual? If you get the classic traditional style, it's not as noticeable and not as noticed as much as if you get something that's modern and free form. But then again, it can limit the longevity of the item.
Right.
Okay, so there's always a trade-off there. Mm-hmm. But you want something that, when people get commented about the ring, geez, I like your ring, or I like your pendant or your earrings. Or we get the other things that people say, geez, what you made for me, I really enjoy it. I really like it. So we try and work with them.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess I do have to address one question. We have a listener who, she made a good point. She said there's a lot of people traveling to different places now that it's...
I've always told people, and we got a little sign in our store, when you're traveling, when you're buying something there, you may not know what you're getting. Okay? You're probably buying a souvenir. So if you want to spend $100 on a souvenir, if you want to spend $10 on a souvenir, if you want to spend $1,000, but it's a souvenir. It could be like that shirt that you thought was going to be great, and you wear it twice, wash it once, and
it falls apart.
It falls apart. Yeah. So again, it's always buyer beware. I try and tell people when they buy things down south, sometimes you get a 30-30 warranty, 30 feet or 30-second, whatever comes first. And the other thing, people will come back and they'll buy something over their limit. They won't declare it when it comes into the country. If they have any issues and they got to send it back under warranty, or there's any problems, they could run into an issue because they never declared it, so it's a smuggled-in item.
Oh, really?
Well, because if you don't declare
I
it,
guess
it's
so.
yeah.
It's
So if
smuggled in.
insurance companies may not have to pay out because they may ask for the bill of sale, and then they'll ask, okay, was it declared when it was brought into the country? And if you say no, it's kind of like, okay, so it's
Yeah.
not a legitimate item. So.
Now, some people think they're getting a deal. And I was in the Cayman Islands several years ago, and they have beautiful jewelry stores in the Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
Because there's so much money laundering there. There's a lot of cash on
Yeah.
that island. And oddly enough, a quarter of the population are Canadians, which is really interesting. So that seems to have more of a legitimacy, although I don't know if it's necessarily a better price or not.
Now, usually there's certain areas where jewelry is being made. You know, Cayman Islands, as you said, you don't see jewelry factories being set up there.
No.
So they're getting it from someplace else. They're importing it in. Duties and taxes are probably the only thing you're going to save, if you save anything.
Okay. What about places like Holland? That's supposed to have all these, the best prices of diamonds in the world and things like that.
They have it for the tourist trade, and then they have it for the trade itself. Two different things altogether.
Two different things.
Altogether. The world is a small place. Things get transported all over the place. So there's not usually the savings that people think. If the deal's too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
a good
we've had some things where people, certain styles, people will get in the islands when they're away on holidays. We can't even put in the ultrasonic because they've glued the stones in.
Oh, I see.
And I've had, I remember one person came in and they wanted the ring size, and I said, if I size that ring, I bet you all the stones will pop out because there's no strength in it.
So
And we had to
beware, right?
and we had to actually end up remaking the ring.
What a shame.
So yeah.
So you really do have to know.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you find out where things come from. I know all these people that I was in Mexico with, and they were all buying, what's that blue stone that everybody buys in the Caribbean? Larimar.
Larimar. Yeah.
And
From
it's-
Dominican Republic.
Yeah. But that's what I said to them.
Yeah.
This comes from the Dominican. No, it doesn't. It comes from Mexico. And no, it doesn't. The setting comes from Mexico, but the stones come from the Dominican, and they bring them up to Mexico, and then they make them into jewelry. And you better make sure that the silver is real silver, and you better make sure that it's good silver, because
Exactly.
otherwise it's just going to turn
Yeah.
ugly
Yeah.
colors.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting a gift of a silver necklace that no matter what you do, you can't change it back to silver. It tarnished, and it's just done. It's finished.
Yeah. That happens.
It
you know.
does, because
Yeah.
it's not good quality, I guess, to begin with.
You bought a souvenir. So,
Exactly.
Yeah. So
And then you hear the story of the guy who buys his wife pearls on the beach in Hong Kong, and they're worth thousands.
that's more of a rarity.
More of a rarity,
Yeah,
especially now.
and usually there's more to the story. Like, I've never heard of anybody going to the casino and telling us how much they've lost.
Exactly.
But I always hear about how much they've made.
Right.
Yeah,
How
so-
much did it cost you to make that money? That's the thing.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
Oh, I'm up
Yeah.
$200.
Yeah.
Okay, but you spent $4.
Yeah.
You're really up $200.
Yeah. And what's happening now, from what I understand, there's we've seen some gold. Well, it's stamped as gold, that people have approached them either at a gas station or some other area that they've got this chain and they're out of gas. They don't have any money. Can you advance them some money for this chain? And the chain is not even gold.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Buyer beware.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much for all of your information this morning. It's always wonderful to have you on the show. We learn so many great things. And where are you guys? You're 5758 Main Street,
Yeah, we're
right beside Reesers.
right beside Reesers. Shoppers Drug Mart and LCBO are in the same plaza in the Ford dealership. So
See, that's a good gift buying thing. You get the card, you get the bottle of wine, and then you get the ring. But don't put the ring in the bottle of wine. The box is just fine. Anyway, thanks a lot, David. You're listening to Fresh Waves on Whistle FM.